Hey everyone, today we're going to be exploring Midtown Manhattan during one of the coldest days of the season. Now, according to ABC News, this is the coldest it's been this early in the season in over 7 years. The current temperature right now is about 27 degrees Fahrenheit, but with the wind chill and all the other factors, it feels like 12 degrees. It's absolutely freezing out today. So we're going to be doing a quick walk around Midtown and seeing what New Yorkers are wearing, how many people are out and about, enjoying this frigid weather in New York. Let's go ahead and get started. What I want to do is before we cross, since it's daytime out, I want to zoom in on this building right here. The building with the interesting windows. That is 520 Fifth Avenue. That's one of the newest luxury condominiums in New York City. And then we're standing on the corner of Library Way, looking at the Stephen Schwarzman building, the New York Public Library. Piece of exciting news in and around Bryant Park is that if you look over at the Radiator building right here, it appears that the scaffolding is finally coming down. The Radiator building is one of my favorite buildings that encompass around Bryant Park, or I should say look over Bryant Park. And unfortunately, that beautiful gold top has been covered in scaffolding for a little over a year now, probably even more. So it's good news that it's coming down. New York City had about 4 inches of snow in Central Park. Now, during the day, the vast majority of that snow melted, but then overnight, we had a deep freeze. So as you're walking around the city, you got to be careful of a lot of the black ice. Right as you get to the entrance of the New York Public Library, you can see those 2 famous lions. That is Patience and Fortitude are the name of those 2 lions, and they sit on either side of the main steps. Leading up to the New York Public Library. I've always said that, in my opinion, the New York Public Library system is one of the greatest resources, I should say public resources, in the city. I mean, the information in there is really invaluable. So if you're thinking about moving to New York and let's say you have no resources and you have nothing, I mean, you could pretty much make something of yourself just by going into the library and taking advantage of all of the free resources that they offer. I mean, they have an extensive, as you can imagine, extensive section in both the Stephen Schwarzman building and the brand new library, which is adjacent. They have Bloomberg terminals, which you could use for free if you're interested in the financial markets or just finance in general. Usually, you would pay roughly $30,000 a year for access to that software. You could use it for free at the NYPL. In addition to that, they have free classes and courses that you could take that show you how to maximize and utilize all those tools. So it's really a blessing to be able to have access to that in New York City. In any event, we're now looking up at 1 Vanderbilt. This is standing on the corner of 5th Avenue and 42nd Street. And then you could also see the Chrysler building. Now, I've said this many times, but this view one day will be no longer because the Hyatt Hotel that sits just off to the left of Grand Central Terminal is set to be demolished. And in its place is going to be a brand new Class A office tower that will unfortunately block and obstruct the views of the Chrysler building from 5th Avenue. There's been many, I should say, controversial real estate developments in New York City that have blocked some of the most notable buildings in Manhattan. if you stand at 23rd Street, right in front of the famous Flatiron Building, and you look northbound towards the Empire State Building, that used to be one of the greatest places to view the Empire. Now it's totally blocked by an ultra-luxury condominium development that is ultra skinny, and there's roughly only 26 individual condo units in that building. And it blocks the entire view of the Empire, unfortunately. The address is 262 Fifth Avenue, and it stands about 860 feet tall. Now, I've done a standalone video on that development, so if you want to look back in the channel, you could check it out. But at one point in time, it was supposed to be much taller than 860 feet. It was supposed to be over 1,000 feet tall, but due to a downturn in the real estate market here in New York, in order to cut costs, the developer shaved a few hundred feet off of the building. Now it stands only about 860 feet, but it's still absolutely massive, and it totally obstructs the view of the Empire State Building. We're now walking past the Bryant Park Winter Village. And despite it being absolutely frigid cold out, it seems as if there's still a lot of people.
No?
All of these people are actually waiting to go to the bathroom. This is the famous Bryant Park bathroom here. Now, according to Bryant Park's website, that bathroom features fresh flowers, automatic toilets, original artwork, classical music playing from above, and 2 bathroom attendants. The facility is often regarded as really among the best public bathrooms in the city. And it went under, I should say, it really underwent 2 renovations. Well, 2 notable renovations, one of which being in 2006. The next one being in 2017. The renovation in 2006 cost about $200,000, and the renovation in 2017 cost $280,000 to renovate that bathroom. The total interior square footage is about 315 square feet for that bathroom. Pretty crazy. You can see a little bit more of that New York City skyline. If I zoom in, just to the right of the Radiator Building, you can see the spire of the Empire State Building. And then all these folks are lined up for the many vendors that are inside the Bryant Park Winter Village. You also have the SUNY School of Optometry just off to the left. The College of Optometry is within the SUNY system, so that is the State University of New York. Here in the state of New York, we have really 2 main education infrastructures. You have SUNY, which is the State University of New York, and then you have CUNY, which is the college system within the City University of New York. Now we're coming up to the corner of 6th Avenue. To the right, you'll have Bank of America Tower. CEO of Bank of America is Bryant Moynihan. And Bank of America trades under the ticker symbol BAC. And then just off to the left, this turquoise building at 3 Bryant Park is Salesforce Tower, which is the pioneer, in my view, of SaaS, which is Software as a Service, the acronym stands for. It's a customer relationship management business, predominantly Salesforce. And the CEO is co-founder Mark Benioff. I always recommend people read Mark Benioff's book. The book is called Trailblazer, and it's a really good book. It goes into a little bit of Mark Benioff's history when he got his start working at Apple. He actually used to intern under Steve Jobs, and then he broke off and started what is now the software Goliath Salesforce. That's also a publicly traded company under the ticker symbol CRM, which is quite clever because CRM is the acronym for the Customer Relationship Management Software. I mean, the city seems to be rocking today. On a Monday afternoon, 13 degrees out it feels like. Lots of people out enjoying the city. We're now headed southbound on 6th Avenue. This is towards 40th Street. This is Nikola Tesla Corner. And off to our right is the Bank of China, which is in a really unique building. It kind of has this sphere, like saucer looking thing at the entrance. Since we have the light, we'll quickly cross over. I want to take you all to the Morgan Library. So we'll have to, at some point, navigate over to the east side.
I get it.
These little Amazon e-assisted vehicles are quite interesting. I was reading an article the other day in Investors Business Daily, and it says that about 90% of the United States now is able to have same-day delivery. And what Amazon is trying to do is they're not only trying to roll out same-day delivery, but delivery within 1 hour or 2 hours. In some parts of the country, you're able to order something online and have it delivered to your house by drone. I mean, Walmart's doing this. They have a pretty big drone infrastructure. Obviously, in more rural communities, you have these huge distribution centers for Amazon and Walmart. And if you order something, it's just like pick, pack, and ship. And the drone drops it off at your house. It's pretty incredible. I want to quickly show you something unique on the corner of 39th Street. If you look over to the east side, as you're standing on 39th, you're going to see this very unique looking building that is cantilevering over the top of the others. It's quite an interesting design. And it reminds me of, in my opinion, really one of the most famous cantilever designs in New York City, which is at 217 West 57th Street. That is the Extel development that goes by Central Park Tower. And the story behind that's a pretty wild story, very incredible. The developer, Gary Burnett, who's the CEO and founder of Extel, had approached the Art Student League of New York and offered to buy out their air rights, because at the time Central Park Tower was competing with Vornado, and Vornado is a massive real estate investment trust, or a REIT, that really specializes in commercial properties. However, they stuck their neck out on one of the most successful projects in residential real estate in Manhattan. That project is 220 Central Park South, and they tapped architect Robert A.M. Stern to do the architecture on the deal. But in any event, he was kind of blocking Central Park Tower's Central Park views. So in order to preserve those Central Park views, they purchased air rights from the neighboring building, which is the Arts Student League of New York. And if you're ever standing on 57th Street now, you can look at this massive cantilever that hangs. It's almost like suspended in air over the building. And that's usually the kitchens and the living rooms of a lot of the units on the higher floors. So they have smack dab Central Park views to get away from that 220 Central Park South. I think you're going to start to see a lot more of that design popping up in and around New York City as some of the older buildings refuse to sell out to developers. Developers will try to get creative and build these cantilevers if they can to maximize square footage and total buildable area. We'll see. Speaking of construction, I've pointed this out many times, but 989 6th Avenue, right on the corner of 37th Street. This building is massive, and it's going to be brand new condos. I'm not too hot on the design of it yet. I'll kind of panoramic view all the way up, but they're starting to put the glass around the facade, and yeah, this is going to be brand new condos. The exact address is 989 6th Avenue. The construction progress has created just a massive traffic jam with all this scaffolding, as well as the bike lane. So it's very, very hard to navigate. Very seldom will I walk under the scaffolding, but usually I choose to cross the street. I may have to duck inside somewhere, it's so cold. We're now coming up on 36th Street here. And when we get to 35th, I want to make a left, because I want to showcase a few really good restaurants, but a brand new a brand new food hall. Looks like the FDNY is in a rush to get somewhere. This is now looking down into Herald Square. You can see the main Macy's. There's two really good Korean restaurants on this block on 35th. one of which being called Hanbat, Hanbat. They have a really good lunch special. Lots of scaffolding on this block, though. So right under the first scaffolding here is the restaurant. I would highly recommend this place. Hanbat. Usually the lunch special, it's so packed. It's hard to get in, but this is one of the spots I'd recommend in Midtown. This is in between 6th Avenue and 5th Avenue. I feel like the place I'm talking about should be right here. Oh, it is. So this place is called Everydaily. It's interesting because it's like a coffee shop, a matcha place, and prepared meals all in one. Sort of reminds me of, I'm forgetting the name of that place in Koreatown. So here they have all these prepared meals, like eggplant over rice, really everything, like prepared Korean meals. Everything's like $12 at the maximum. So it's a very good deal. And you could either take it to go, or you could dine in through the back. This place opened, I'd say, maybe 2 months ago. You have these bulgogi bowls, bibimbap. All different types of the banchan, kimchi. These are the kimpops. Kimbap is pretty good. Kim, I think, means seaweed. Bap means rice in Korean. And these are the hot water for the soup. Yeah, the place isn't bad. Everything's, you know, you can get a lunch meal, $12, $15, and there's a coffee shop inside too. So it's easy to take out. And it's also quite convenient to eat in without having to spend like $30 plus on lunch. Now we're making our way over to Fifth Avenue. This is coming up to the CUNY Graduate Center. Okay, we've now made it back to Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, it's religious. She looks like I said, she looks like
That's the building I'm talking about. So if you look dead center in the middle of your screen, this is 262 Fifth Avenue, and that's the building that is blocking the views of the Empire State Building from the Flatiron Building. Which, by the way, the Flatiron Building sold at foreclosure auction, and the new owners are turning it into condominiums. So now, if you're a big fan of the Flatiron Building, you do have the opportunity to purchase a condo inside. It's a very bespoke project. I'm now going to bring all of you to Madison Avenue, and we'll check out the Morgan Library, which is one of my favorite museums in all of the city. It's just really an amazing place. If you want to know a little bit more about J.P. Morgan, and really the House of Morgan, also his son Jack Morgan, and how kind of J.P. Morgan was a pivotal bank that helped the United States build out during the Industrial Revolution and on, I'd pick up that book 1929 by Andrew Ross Sorkin. It's a really, really good book, and one of my big takeaways from that book was just how critical of a role those bankers played in establishing America as the dominant powerhouse of the world. This is now 35th Street in Madison. We'll make this left and we'll head up to 36th Street. Here you have great views of One Vanderbilt. Also, J.P. Morgan's son, Jack, also played a major role in negotiating a lot of the war reparations regarding how much Germany had to pay after the First World War. Okay, here we have it. You're now looking at the Morgan Library. We'll go ahead and cross the street, and then we'll make another left and head north. It's a beautiful building, these Gilded Age mansions. There was another gentleman that also played a critical role in those war reparation negotiations. He was a partner at J.P. Morgan, and he was personally asked by J.P. Morgan to come work for the bank. His name was Thomas Lamont. He was a graduate of Harvard University, and I believe he was the first freshman editor at the Harvard Crimson. And by doing that work, it helped him pay for his tuition to graduate Harvard. He went on to graduate cum laude with the Bachelor's of Arts in 1892. This is the main entrance to the Morgan Library, so you would just go right in here, they scan your ticket. Would highly recommend it. And oftentimes they share some of the exhibits between the Morgan Library and Museum, as well as the Frick Collection, which used to be the home of Henry Clay Frick, which was another industrialist. If you're watching this broadcast and you're from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, chances are you know exactly the name Frick. Also, the creation of the Federal Reserve, a lot of those bankers had a lot to do with that, as they were a part of the Jekyll Island Club on Jekyll Island, Georgia. That's where the Federal Reserve was created. There's a book about the Federal Reserve. It's called The Creature of Jekyll Island. The Federal Reserve is now the U.S. Central Bank. But on January 1st, 1911, Thomas Lamont became a partner of J.P. Morgan following Davison to the company. I gotta put my gloves back on, it's so cold. Here you can kind of see some of the original building here. It's stunning. And across the street too, you have a lot of beautiful architecture as well. Now I want to take you to the Union League Club. This is one of my favorite buildings on Park Avenue. It's beautiful. You'll see why in a minute. They always have it decorated for the holidays. Okay, here we are. We're now right outside of the Union League Club. In order to really see all of its beauty, we'll have to cross the street. This is the fourth home of the Union League Club. This fine example of a neoclassical style clubhouse was built in 1929 and 1931. Building elements recall the architecture of the 18th century England and the American colonies. We'll cross the street just so you can see the facade in a little bit better detail. But from here you have this great view of the spire of the Chrysler Building. Which, speaking of the 1920s, the Roaring 20s, the Chrysler Building went up in the 1920s, and then the Empire State Building went up during the heart of the Great Depression. All right, look at that. Isn't that just a wonderful building? Beautiful facade. Since we have the light, we'll cross. We're now on Park Avenue, just south of Grand Central Terminal, but we'll continue to head south. You can see everybody's bundled up today. Definitely want to limit your time outdoors. This is now East 36th Street and Park. I like these monuments that they have all up and down Park Avenue. It's quite nice. Now, one of the things we have to look forward to is the spring. And they've actually already planted the tulip bulbs in the dirt north of Grand Central Terminal. A lot of people don't know that, but if you ever walk Park Avenue, north of 42nd Street. In the spring, you have these gorgeous tulips right on those mediums. But they plant them in the winter. And of course, they bloom in the spring. However, it seems like New York City's in a long haul. Because these are the coldest temperatures this early in the season in over 7 years. Right in the corner of East 35th Street, you're going to have a menorah that is lit. I believe yesterday was the official start, the first night of Hanukkah. You can see the menorah right here. So happy Hanukkah to all of my Jewish viewers out there. If you navigate further uptown, right at 59th Street and 5th Avenue, they have the largest menorah in New York City. And here is one of my favorite places to view the Empire State Building, and hopefully this view doesn't get obstructed by this new condo building that's going up. I don't think it will, but it's already partially obstructed. But from Midtown East, looking at the Empire State Building, there's really nothing like it. We're now going to come up on 34th Street.
That was the stop.
Once we get to the corner here, which I always love seeing every year, you have these Christmas trees that are on sale. I always kind of joke that it acts as a little bit of an air freshener for the neighborhood. Wow, they're $160 per Christmas tree this year if you want to buy a real tree. And of course, since we're on 34th Street, we have these great views of the Empire State Building. One more shot looking uptown, with one Vanderbilt in the back, and you can now even see the spire of 270 Park Avenue and the MetLife building. Speaking of JP Morgan, that's the brand new JP Morgan Chase office tower. This would be considered the Murray Hill neighborhood. I have to change hands that I'm holding the camera with. My hands are frozen. Let's continue to push south. This is now going to be 33rd Street, where you can get the 6 train. So 6 train mostly will run Park Avenue. So it's on the east side. and you can get the 6th train from Grand Central Terminal. And from here it's one stop, so it goes 33rd Street and then 42nd Street, Grand Central Terminal, and then 50th Street, and then 59th Street. '59th Street's Lexington Avenue. However, you can get the train from inside of Bloomingdale's, the main Bloomingdale's flagship on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Has direct access to the subway. Coming up on 32nd Street, that's technically going to be considered Koreatown. But Koreatown, in my opinion, is really in between Broadway, 32nd Street, Korea Way, and 5th Avenue. But you'll still find a lot of Korean restaurants in and around 32nd Street, with my favorite Korean restaurants being on 31st Street. There's two really good restaurants that you have to try that are on 31st Street. It's owned by the same owner, one of which is called Her Name is Han, and the other restaurant is Take 31. They're both really good. However, for the sake of the video, we'll make the right. And from here, if I zoom in and let me adjust the brightness a little bit, if you focus right here, you'll be able to see this kind of green bridge going across. That's called the Gimbel's Sky Bridge, and that's been there since the Gimbel's department store. Unfortunately, they went out of business as they were trying to compete with Macy's. That was like the rival, and they were trying to be cost competitive, but it cost them their business. And they went out of business, but it remains that Gimbel's Sky Bridge there, right on 32nd Street. You know what, this place, I went into this place the other day, and I don't know why I went in here. I think I was just bored. I think it was cold. And this is a hotel here. This is a hotel. But right here, this Noa, N-O-A Cafe, is pretty good. And for some reason, I got a cinnamon roll in here, and it was one of the best cinnamon rolls I've ever had in my entire life. And I'm not exaggerating. So if you want to try it for yourself, come to the Noa Cafe. N-O-A. And order yourself a cinnamon roll. It's unbelievable. Now this place across the street in this building that's really, really beautiful, this is 29 32nd Street. I think this is one of the only North Korean restaurants, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think you can get North Korean food in here, which is really unique. We're now back on Madison.
her, you know, which, you know, pretty much.
If you're looking for very good K barbecue that's quite affordable, this place Agassi Gopjang to the right is fantastic. Gopjang, though, is, I believe, the name for intestine, like beef intestine, which is also a good dish. You don't have to order that there, but oh, this place was fantastic too. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Oh, it was this place. This MUSAEK. I just went here. I just went here last week. This was one of the best Korean restaurants I've been to. And the lunch special is fantastic. The prices aren't that bad. It's a relatively new restaurant, and the dining room looks great. It's a very, very aesthetically pleasing dining room. Let's just say that. Okay, and now we are back at 5th Avenue. You have Love Korean Barbecue right here. And then you have that Agassi Gopjang. But if you guys enjoyed that walking tour on the coldest day of the year, 13 degrees, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and as always, we'll see you in the next one, and thank you so much for watching. Take care.